2003. Arizona Ice Stop Boys. Young Lindu Shouty.
Emotional Boys 2001.
Emotional Shouty's in this bitch. Machiavelli. Bitches come and go, bruh, but you know I stay. Bitches come and go, bruh, but you know I stay. Get my balls licked by a Zoe Deschanel, looking like cocaine addict. Razor blade to your head, conflict. I'ma contradict this shit. Peeing on old people's houses is an inflict. 2003 shit, this ain't no splitting bill shit. I'ma peel banana skits while listening to R. Kelly's greatest hits. Popping pills like sits while someone vomits on your mosquito tits. Slitting wrists while dark evil spirits like Slytherin with tricks. I'm sick, acid drip makes my spitting sick and makes me start hitting chicks. Knitting thick, shitting quick, fitting dick like they're smitting shit with an 8-stick. You're gay as fuck like a fish stick. Tequila shots and salt licks, getting balls in your face like a free kick. Young Lean State's motherfucking free kick, bitch. For some more rotten teeth like Gargamel. I cast a spell, you keep on trying to yell. Bet your dead body stinks worse than my swell. Well, Lean expels diagrams as if they were made in Excel. Fuck fat host like Adele. Get my dick stuck inside a lamp shell. Get it out with sperm cells and hair gel. Swim in Mexico, Mademoiselle. Point a laugh while he fell. Who's laughing now that I'm explosive like Alfred Nobel? Young Lean only attracts an older clientele. Very well, get it out with sperm cells and hair gel. Swim in Mexico, Mademoiselle. Point a laugh while he fell. Who's laughing now that I'm explosive like Alfred Nobel?
Bloodlust. Bloodlust. Enemies. Death. Pillage. Kill 'em. It all ties in, man. The world is seeds. It's seeds, and it births these seeds. You know? Men have two paths. And some men, they chase that world. Conqueror, murderer, righteous in your own mind. And they say that they do a service unto God as they pillage, as they ruin, destroy. So what should it profit a man to gain the whole world but to lose his own soul? And a kingdom divided shall never stand, as they plot on one another and assassinate one another and take each other's wives. Bloodlust. Bloodlust. Man. And from where these thoughts are conceived, that a man of this audacity could still enjoy life. See, man is the conduit. Sometime evil wins the battle. But there's always a choice given.
Events are back, you guys. Events are back. They're booking speakers like you. They're paying them $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $25,000, and they're back. The world is open. I got an email from a client the other day, actually a former client. He said, hey, Taylor, I'd really like for you to come and speak in Guatemala and El Salvador. I said, I'm interested. You know, what's the offer? He said, I'll give you business class flights. I'll put you up at really nice hotels. I'll show you around the cities, and we'll pay you $15,000. I said, great. That's a really kind offer. I appreciate it. Make it 20 and I'm on my way. So how do you go from being a low paid speaker to being a high paid speaker where people are begging you to come and speak at their events rather than you kind of going and scratching and clawing around and hoping to land an event once or twice a year? I'll tell you, it's one high quality filmed talk. It's the same thing that I've been talking about for the last 15 years of my speaking career. One high quality filmed talk paves the way for your speaking career. My client Kevin is the first person I ever helped do this kind of step-by-step process that by the way, I'm going to give you a training on this and the step-by-step process in a better version than this 2-minute little ad video. So Kevin, for example, does my step-by-step process, lands a TEDx talk, 4.5 million views later. He gets 300 paid speaking gigs. He gets a book deal with Penguin Random House. He speaks all over the world. Why? Was it because of a speaker one sheet? Nope. Was it because of some lame speaker reel? No. Was it because he had an awesome speaker site with a couple testimonials on it in like nice italics Comic Sans font? No. None of that matters. None of it matters. What matters is one high quality film talk. If you don't have a high quality film talk, the person who's got the budget for $10,000, $25,000 isn't going to book you to speak. The people that book people that just have like a web page with some like nice testimonials and some really sweet speaker shots of them with a microphone, but they don't have a film talk, those people get booked for free. They don't get paid. The people that get paid are the people that someone who's got a budget to book them can look at and go, that's the talk I want on my stage. That's the person I want on my stage because I've seen their talk. I've seen them doing their thing. I want them to do their thing for my audience. So, how do you get that stage? How do you get a stage where you can get filmed in a high, professional, authority building, credibility building way? I did an entire training on it. It's along with this video. It's an hour long, and at the end of that training, I'm going to give you 25 of those stages that are looking for speakers right now. It's the TEDx stage. Spoiler alert, it's the TEDx stage, the same stage that has 33 million subscribers to their YouTube channel. It's the same stage that Kevin got, same stage that Cynthia got with her 10 million views. It's the same stage that Jason's got with his 200,000 views, that Ellie's got with his 3 million views, that Suzanne's got with her 2 million views. All clients of ours, all who at some point were sitting right there going, I wonder if I should watch that training. It's along with this video. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're on that stage very, very soon. And I'm talking about you in the next ad video that I make. Can look at and go, that's the talk I want on my stage. That's the person I want on my stage because I've seen their
You like LSD?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because for one, it teaches me a lot about myself that I didn't know, and it kind of informs me about my environment and what goes on.
What does it tell you about yourself?
It tells me what I like.
What do you like?
Well, I can't really explain what I like.
It's hard to explain. You see, you've had an experience that I haven't had, and I'm trying to find out what your experience is like, what it does for you, what it feels like.
Well, it makes everything a little unreal, you know. Everything that is hallucinations project from my mind, and everything that I see is myself. I mean, it's all coming from my mind, and all the things that I see, everything that I see is I'm making it all.
You're controlling everything.
Yes, I'm controlling what the scenery looks like about me. I'm not controlling it necessarily, but when it's happening, that's what's me. That's me happening.
How about people? Do you think that before you used the drug, you were afraid of people?
Well, I didn't know it at the time, but I realized that I was when I took the drug, because it brings out your inner feelings more intensely.
And why do you think you were afraid of them before?
Because I didn't know them.
Do you feel that you do know them through the drug?
No, I don't feel that I know them, but I'm not afraid of being rejected by them, because I don't feel any rejection towards them. I used to be constantly thinking about being afraid of them, but now I don't have to be afraid anymore because they're all beautiful, and whether they reject me or not, they're still beautiful.
Does it ever seem to you that this may be a little unreal?
Oh, yes. But I mean, after you learn this on an acid trip, you practice it when you're straight, too.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't leave you.
If everybody is beautiful, then there's no one who's, say, dangerous to you.
Oh, but the dangerous people are beautiful, too. They're dangerous, sure, but they're still beautiful.
Why are you here?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll try to break it down in short. I found God, and I made me feel quite good, you know, and my mother mistook this good feeling for taking drugs, and I was getting kind of wayward and everything. I mean, I wasn't coming home on time, so she phoned the police, and I was brought to YGC, and then I was brought here. Because of my talking about God and everything, they might have thought that I was a little crazy.
Do you think you are?
No. But I understand how they felt because I wasn't making myself clear on it. It's very hard to, I was trying to express something that was hard to express, and I wasn't really capable of expressing it. I mean, I can have the relationship between myself and God, but it's a mistake to try to make other people feel the way I did, and that's what I was trying to do.
What's God like?
Well, first of all, God is everything, so he is like everything. He is everything. There's nothing that he isn't like.
Is he like a man?
I don't know. Everything, he lives in everything. Everything on this earth.
I can't describe to you the feeling that it gives you when your son says to you, can't you feel it? God is everywhere. I'm going with God. I'm waiting for God to come and get me. It isn't a happy thing at all or an insight. It's a death wish. And I tried talking sense to him. I said, Jimmy, you don't see God till you die. But he couldn't see that at all. He believed that he was seeing it right now.
Hello, my name is Dr. Ed Carlton. If you or someone you know is suffering with anxiety, depression, or insomnia, I'd like to welcome you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you information about a technology that can eliminate the symptoms of these conditions entirely, without drugs or medications of any kind. Just as a certified trainer can evaluate your body and determine where it's healthy and what kind of exercise you need to do in order to improve it, we can now do a real-time evaluation of how your brain is working as well. This process of evaluating your brain is known as brain mapping. Think about it this way. If you're driving to work and you pull up Google Maps, Google Maps can tell you where traffic is busy and where it's not. And if you're fortunate, you can figure out how to get to work quicker, saving yourself a lot of time. Really valuable when you're going to work. Well, think about how much more valuable a brain map is if we can figure out where your brain is working properly and where corrections might be needed in order to make it work better. We can actually do that. To begin with, your brain-based disorder is most likely due to irregular brainwave generation in the first place. For example, folks who suffer with anxiety frequently have high levels of beta brainwaves on the right-hand side. These excessive high-frequency waves are responsible for the feelings of anxiety. Now, beta brain waves are present all the time, but they're usually more present when you're thinking hard about something. If you can't shut them off, it tends to lead to worry. Well, anybody who's ever suffered with anxiety can associate the fact that excessive worry can lead to anxious feelings and in some cases even panic attacks. It's not your imagination, it's actually how your brain is working. Depression. Folks with depression will typically have elevated alpha brain waves on the left-hand side. Now, alpha brain waves are slower brain waves, usually seen when you're sleeping or deeply meditative or very relaxed. They're great when you're sleeping. However, if you're awake, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you try to focus and get something done and your brain is half asleep. Do you think you'll be able to get done what you need to? Probably not. Unfortunately, it also leads to slower thoughts, and it's very difficult to remain positive when your brain is not functioning at its best. Insomnia. People with insomnia actually have issues typically on both sides of the brain. They find it difficult to sleep because very often their brain is fighting on both sides all night long. I'd like to introduce neurofeedback training. Now, neurofeedback training is a new technology that can actually correct brainwave imbalances. Think of it as gym for your brain. However, it's a lot easier than going to the gym. All you have to do is watch a movie. If you're capable of that, you can improve your brainwave function with neurofeedback training. Let me explain how. This gentleman is actually sitting watching a movie while he's undergoing neurofeedback training. He's wearing a pair of Fody containment glasses, he's got a set of headphones on, and although you can't see them, he's got a pair of sensors measuring the output, the brainwave output of his brain. Now, this brainwave output is then put into our ClearMind neurointegrator system. If you're a patient in our office, your brain map will have already been done, and your information will be put into our system so they can use it to compare against. Now, what happens next is if your brain stays in with the normal parameters, this information is going to be given back to you with audio and visual signals. If it goes outside the parameters, the movie will go dim. If it stays inside the parameters, the movie stays clear. It's a painless process. All you have to do is relax and watch the movie. The technology does the rest. What does a better brainwave look like? This is a brainwave of an individual, 59 years old, suffering with bipolar disorder. This is the first session. This is the same individual 8 weeks later. Which one do you think is calmer? If you pick the one on the left, you'd be right. I know, because these are mine. I'm not only sharing with you information about technology that has been proven to work elsewhere, all over the world, but I'm happy to share with you information about technology that has changed my life for the better. Are there any side effects? Please just say no. First used in 1972 to treat epilepsy. There have been no recorded cases of side effects in 44 years since it was first introduced. How long do the benefits last? And this is key, and one of the neatest things about neurofeedback training. Just like riding a bike, the memory stays with you. Once trained, your brain will retain and improve upon the better brainwave patterns from the very first time you get trained till after the last training session from that point forward. You'll just keep getting better and better as your brain continues to consolidate and use these better brainwave patterns. Think about it this way. If you in fact ever learned how to ride a bike and you kept riding it from that point forward, say 15 or 20 years, after 20 years you'd probably be a pretty good bike rider, wouldn't you? Well, yeah, you sure would. The same thing is basically true here. Once your brain has healed and thinks better, it will continue to use these better patterns from that point forward. So, are you ready to think better? How about feel better? And most certainly, overall, be better. We offer a free initial evaluation for everyone. No strings attached, no obligation. It takes about 30 minutes. So, if you're ready to be better, call my office. I'd love the chance to help you feel good as well. Have a great day.
Jim hasn't adjusted well to school. He's an extremely introverted boy, or has been up until lately. Shy. He wouldn't try. The least sign of failure to him meant an automatic stop right now. And I think that the problems that he had were magnified and triggered by the release that he seemed to find in drugs. And I feel as though that this is, many of the children today are doing this type of thing, and if it could be stressed that this is a medical problem and not a criminal problem, I believe that parents would be on the telephone calling somebody as soon as they found illegal material around the house, which they don't do now because they're afraid they're sending their sons and daughters to jail.
There is a steady flow into San Francisco hospitals of young people who have freaked out and been picked up by the police in a state of desperate terror.
Where are you taking me? Where are my friends? Do my friends know I'm here? Where am I? Where am I?
You're in the hospital here. Come on.
Who are you?
I'm Dr. Victor.
The bad trip is a frightening thing to witness. It must be far more terrifying to experience.
Where are you taking me? Where am
You're
I?
right around here to the desk. You're in the hospital.
Who are you?
Hello, I'm a nurse. What's your name?
Your hands are cold.
What's your name?
Joan.
Joan. I'm a nurse. Gus?
I don't want to be here. Where
It's all
are my
right.
friends?
It's all right. It's all right. Get your pick off. It's all right. I'm a nurse. It's all right, Joan.
Hi, John. My name is Gus. I'm going to take you to your room now.
Hospital people, whether they want to or not, are becoming expert in the handling of LSD users in trouble. The street, where hippies like to congregate, shows no hint of the horror behind the scenes in hospitals. But the street thrusts the hippies at the community. They can't be left to go their own way and forgotten because they make their presence felt. For one thing, they take up a good deal of public space. In a sense, they have taken over the community by superimposing their own subculture and values upon it. They express contempt for money and pride themselves on being able to manage without it. But they are not above begging. This is the office of a San Francisco hippie newspaper called The Oracle. It's a busy place. We asked Gabe Katz, one of the editors of The Oracle.
Look around, nothing works. The only thing the kid is presented with is when you grow up looking around. You can join the army, you can go to war, you can get a gig working as an engineer between vegetables, drive to work in your own car, your own big metal box. You know, it looks absurd. You know, people in their metal boxes like they're going all over from job to job, frustrated and uptight. What joy is there in life? Life is and should be ecstasy. Being alive should be a joy, and it's a drag for most people because they never had a chance to figure it out for themselves what they wanted to do. You were this, or you're going to be a this. You go to school, right there, to learn
with the hooligan eyes, who's cooler than I? Niggas move it aside. When you heard I was a big deal, you was surprised. West Coast bitch, reaching W's in the sky. I spent my days as a refugee. Kid, the rap game came to rescue me. I left my wrist paved in accessories, a dangerous necessity. I came here to wreck them seeds. You wrong if you think your Wayne was the recipe. He ain't worthy of that. The controversy is back. Get out the Kool-Aid, stir me your back. See, I prefer to relax, but I can't, and God knows it. Gotta stay raw with the flow that I'm diagnosed with.
Yeah, let's go do all of these things.
Keep fucking with my emotions. Maybe that's the reason I suffer from psychosis.
You're just having fun with my friends, though.
Fucking my life's hopeless. So I had to make sure I killed it when I wrote this. Bounce like a trampoline, thousands of amps me. Kids run up on the school campus and slap a dame. I grew up in baggy jeans, pornographic nasty dreams. Moral of my damn story, life is in a happy scene. Wish I was stacking cream, wish I had a Lamborghini. Wish I had the cover on the Rolling Stones magazine. Radio playing all these faggot teens. Show me something ill that I haven't seen. For 10 years I've been working on ill flows. And finally got a fucking record deal when I'm still broke. Man, that's not common. Clothes that I'm dropping the dough. But all that I can afford is some John Robin. I noticed the journalists just like to come to see. I'm just stepping back now until you're playing loud. No one telling how to run. We done with that. It's the plan. Keep it up and get your tongue to 10 commandments. I've been working on ill flows. And finally got a record deal when I'm still broke. Man, that's not
On all these tracks like a motherfucking lower motor. Train on these beats for the folks that don't know the folks. If I want to set a fire, then set it with sex games. I've been doing this since you were a wet dream. Stop being cool like an AC fuse glow. Stay high and stand up. I'm fucking cannibalistic, so quick this interpretation of that bitch tricks. I'm so pussy I can clear your fucking
So imagine you're cruising on the road 70 miles an hour, going into the tunnel. All of a sudden, here, arms are numb, then time,
Really why I think
go.
something like that.
And now I think it's they know that when they're not,
It's been so dark, seeking out situations where people take that thing. So with this, a lot of
amazing at times. It's almost like being like very. You're like, oh my god, yeah, let's go do all of these things. And you're like, oh my god, I'll put these other things that I'm supposed to do. And you're just having fun with my friends though. And my friends.
go out on dates anymore. Just her life being centered around the mental illness. Talking to my dad one day, he said they never told us about that because they didn't want to start it as kids. And I think it's something that we need to talk about. Mental illness is real. It's something that all of us can suffer from.
The antioxidant goodness in palm oil makes it a potent weapon against free radicals. Palm oil contains antioxidants.
I remember that hospital. Nobody wanted to talk about it. You know, we have to talk about it. It was spooky. We used to bounce around it. We never saw people. We used to see anyone outside. You know, it'd be in the summer. No one. It was like a prison.
Good, no. You're back up when I'm looking like.
We have patience. So this is just those kind of tools.
It's almost like he was trying to, because I've heard really wild things about people. The assumption was that there was no one there.
A lot of people say, oh, I'm going to go kill myself. They don't realize how cancer has been over the back. A lot of people just say, oh, I have anxiety. And just feel the emotions get up.
Really wild things. The assumption was that there was no one there. Started having my problems and it cycled.
And then the 70s and 80s,
if things go awry in life, I can navigate So now, you don't have to have medication. People don't absolutely know that living with pain is just unbearable. It's unbearable.
To make sleepovers proved easy.
It was very I don't have an episode that I did. The cocaine from one of the episodes that did which actually is kind of stupid. You forfeit money to the drug, whereas the actual Medicare pays for it is $700. So I don't have much because I'm on this anxiety, bipolar depression. A lot of times I think I'm gonna put it out the brakes. I'm gonna put it out of chase.
It's just like a thing in most people's lives when they come in. Who in that situation is going to say, well, let's tack on a massive medical bill for me to walk into a hospital with this crisis, and then to see a doctor, and then to see a counselor, and then to pick up meds every month? It seems insurmountable.
In the 70s, it was all these niggas looking like they scared for the bread. Like a fuck nigga like these dreads. We love them, pick up nigga for the bread. We run that want to. Hop down, see what you gon' do. That brand is gon' look good. Hop down, see what you gon' do. We gon' dance for you. I know that want to. I told you, see what you gon' do. We don't
and she's depressed. Pays to do as outpatient, so the money doesn't matter. Many countries have to use that word very loosely. The patient is waiting for the eye. It looked like there's a lot of outside, you know. Although we know the ECT works very well, the whole protocol of the whole ECT has gone for a lot of patients. In my opinion, if that really gives it a chance to it actually increases the ability to memory. So when you take a medication, it takes some time to reach some robust response. But that result has still started. We always struggle.
It's like, no, because that's the last thing I wanted. I didn't feel worthy to be even touched, and it's like, no, that's, so I didn't stay with him for sure, and it just wasn't the that was the psychiatrist. Well, that's definitely not where I'm going.
We're 2 times stronger defense against erosion and effective cavity protection. New Pronamel Active Shield.
I think one of the saddest things I see is the kids not helping them become a part of the community, so the community can open their world up. Yeah, great space. Yeah, and I remember Dustin telling me that he never felt that we'd be able to get him under control with medication, that he was going to need to be institutionalized. We're going to place him with Carol during that first admission, because for some reason I thought he was homeless and he had no support, and they were like, no, we're going to work on the medications.
The story is incredibly persistent. Incredible, really. She did everything to fight. I think only mothers can.
Yeah, well.
The Unimo Health Community started in 1968. President Kennedy signed the CMA Act, which initially gave federal funding to sites throughout the country. Not very ubiquitous. There were, in Michigan, about 11 sites. And then, over time, to be frank, federal funding abated. And so what happened, the state started struggling. And then in the 70s and 80s, the state realized people didn't need to be medically incarcerated. The state so the CMA should be the ideal support mechanism.
Top up any handcrafted iced beverage with smooth and creamy cold foam at Wawa.
Alright, sure, every door has for the safety. Like anytime you guys walk out, when you're being admitted to a health unit, you want to feel like you're at a place where people are going to be kind, that type of thing. Obviously, we've never been in another health where it's difficult because the stigma of mental health. As far as the hospitals go, I think they're trying to make improvements so you're not seeing people just locked up forever. A local community hospital like the Claren Bay region has a behavioral health unit where people come and they stay in the hospital. And the goal of that type of a hospital is let's get them in. They might be having suicidal thoughts. They're having homicidal thoughts. But they're not safe to be out in the community at that point. A danger to themselves or a danger to someone else. So we get them into the hospital, we get them stabilized on their medication, and then they get to go home again.
How is she presenting right now?
Family, like I said, she's guarded, but she's very sad.
So,
yes, there's clearly some stressors, but she's not forthright with what they are right now.
okay, but she is agreeing to sign voluntarily, so we do not have to petition her. Okay, so admit under Dr. Nicholas, Diagnosis major depression, voluntary patient. She has no home net, so we will not give anything. But she has been drinking quite a bit of alcohol as well, right? So let's start her on the alcohol detox protocol with Serex. And we will give Haldol 5 mg PRIM with 6 hours PRM. And Vistal 50 mg with 6 hours PRM. And some voluntary patient admit under documents. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lafayette.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
My contact is someone concerned about them petitions the court saying, my son, my nephew, my father is behaving erratically and that he's going to commit suicide. So someone in the family files a petition saying this person needs mental health help but won't seek it, doesn't appreciate it. The petition brings them to the hospital's attention and gets them examined. Then an attorney must call. That's where I come in, explain what's happening to them, explain their rights, and at that point, the patient has the opportunity to put themselves back on the path of a voluntary patient. They can sign what's called a request to defer their hearing, that is, set it off indefinitely, and give them a chance to follow up on their mental health treatment.
We have to be upfront with them right in the beginning, and it's really hard, to tell them that their mother petitioned them to come into the department, and then the doctor certified that they agreed with it. So that's often difficult. But I tell you one thing, they don't leave mad. Our patients don't leave upset, they don't leave mad, they leave grateful. And that's probably the easiest part, is to see, when you see somebody come in so upset and angry that they were admitted to a mental health unit, and you get to see them walk out, thank you for the help that you gave me. It's a nice feeling.
This is what we do. This is 2 or 3 minutes of what is spent. Because we have 5 admissions in the night, which I can't spend and I don't need to. The decision I have to make is whether I admit or not admit, whether it's a voluntary patient or petition. Family is supportive, she's agreeing to come in, we'll start the detox, and then once we evaluate her, we start on the antidepressant and then discharge her.
Our major depression is the biggest diagnosis on the unit here. And psychosis is another case. Psychosis is the most heavily diagnosed in the hospital because there's just so many things that can cause psychosis. It doesn't always have to be mental illness. It could be your blood sugar uncontrolled and you're not thinking correctly. So a lot of times when we go down and screen, those are the things that we have to evaluate. Is this a medical issue? Because you certainly don't want to put somebody in a mental health unit when they're really suffering from a medical emergency that's related to their physical health versus their mental. So that's why we do what's called a screen, and we evaluate the patient before they come to.
Before the there wasn't nothing. There was just
it was,
walls.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was ugly. How about that? So, and I wanted it to feel like you were just getting therapy. Like if you have to go to a retreat, what does that feel like? You want to see pretty pictures and where you feel like you're not somewhere where you can't leave.
Sanctuary, refuge, hospital. This is no snake pit. The doors are locked, but it's not a prison that we enter. For these locks are meant to protect patients. No longer able to take care of themselves, they depend on others to help them live day to day.
Okay, great. I'm in the back room of wallets, I spent $30 on somebody's grave. We did so many pull-ups on niggas, no wonder we getting in shape. Too busy words of what actions that ever go funny, yeah. Hey, shit done changed. Millionaires talk to me different when they see my face up on Lucci and Grange. Show myself that I would get through this verse and I'm not gonna mention a plane.
A state hospital, if you think about it, provides food, clothing, shelter, incredibly high staffing ratios. And there was a time where state hospitals made a lot of sense.
Big 81, but I don't own a Harley. I ride in Mercedes and shame. Hey, me and Lil Harley, we wrecking this shit, and we about to go link with the game. Hey, I'm like the clock on the wall of your mama's house. I do not have time to hang. Please don't reach out to me, they watching too much. I'm stepping and guiding me versus to me. I'm serving no more by the dream. I'm playing cool and I'm cool sitting next to the beach. I've been too solid to ever have strength on my sneaks. You get what I mean? Back in the day, my dog putting their balls in the pockets.
The only downside is this. You save money. You protect the devil. You tend to have the jobs. In the community, those are harder to come.
Sometimes I hop on the road by myself and I listen to shit that you say. All of y'all have almost $100 and that's why I cannot relate.
I think it might have been a year ago. I was sitting in church. My landlord called me and said that they're thinking about buying the building. So for me to come and sign the lease because Holly
Making them fuck niggas pay. Split at the church to the place. Who said they ain't having their way? Might have a little more on their plate. We having our way in their ways. OVO scope on the tray. We having our way. Having my way in the city. Get put out your bridges, you talking to chickens. Go put on my cleats on, walking they slip. Having my way in this shit like a fitness. Load up the face, now I feel like a rookie. She had it her way, now she out of a group. Split it all into the place. Who said they ain't having their way? Oh shit, I you take it straight from the bacon. I call me some cases. Even regular say we're taking no communication. No invitation, cut off circulation. Fluid or weather body, just the nature. Just crosses all on my body, what I say. I'm putting my gallery laughing. I'm talking to passion. Straight down the like ain't none of this happening. Try to I'm flying in the village, I'm a savage. I'm not even got a bitch up with a magic. Don't let me bragging, they little niggas nagging. I don't need ways, this shit be on accident. Feeling my leverage, bitch on the accident. I shoot my shot, it's all for this shit. Load up the train, what else it ain't no break. Sliding in the church, I'm having my way.
The other half of the stage was dark, and they played this ominous sound, and the darkness actually opened up, and men came out dressed as demons. They had skull faces, and it was just black lights and the red with a real fire behind them. And even as a kid, I had that same numbness that I couldn't articulate at the time. I grabbed a hold of my mom and I whispered in her ear, I said, I can't stand it. I still kind of feel bad for that little boy. I mean, I knew who I was.
A very bad experience with my patients and medications because the family said that you don't get medications for it, it's serious. He had a very serious suicidal thought. Thank God he survived, but that actually really opened the eyes of the whole family. I got another patient, a gay man, he killed himself because they tried to convert him.
As a kid growing up, when other kids we'd play war, they'd have done. My first grade teacher helped me make construction paper bracelets that were yellow, and she cut out the red side. So they'd shoot at me and I'd shoot. She's a pretty cool teacher, and then the Gal Gadot version of the advance. I didn't know this in public. I didn't know this on air, but there's certain things speak to us. I was always involved with music and drama. It was the spiritual connection that I think meant a lot to me. I always knew there was something different about me that I could not talk about. Got engaged to the music director's daughter. And then probably 6 months before we got married, I said, Stephanie, we actually had a church service when we were trying to pray the gay away. We were trying to cast the demons of homosexuality out of our family. And it crushed my parents, and crushed me at the same time. And that kind of made me feel like it was flawed somehow, that I would come out of the closet and already disappear to God. I made God mad. I don't deserve to be part of this community. What I didn't know was that genetically I was predisposed to panic disorder. And that was the right thing to do. I had this horrible internal struggle. It's like, if I were to die tonight on my own, I'd go to hell.
If 1 in 5 of us have one, and only 48% or 40% or so get help, that leaves a tremendous amount of people out there in pain. Suicide rates are higher than they've ever been. People who have mental illness die sooner, 26, 28 years sooner than people that do not have mental illness. So people are dying.
There was actually a time where I actually had a plan. For me, it was a lot of different circumstances. And it was just where I was in my life, and the feeling of unhappiness, and then having depression on top of that, and then feeling alone and not being able to essentially talk about my feelings in a way that I feel confident today.
Looking for the best price on it? Kelly Blue Book Price Advisor. Does it need fixing? Kelly Blue Book Service and Repair Guide. Want to sell or trade it? Do it in an instant with Kelly Blue Book's instant cash offer. For all of the hits, KBB.com.
Growing up in my community, a lot of children come from very marginalized. My life has always been living in trauma, and that was just because you never really know what to expect growing up black in America. At any moment, you know what I mean, someone can decide that you're not worth it.
I actually remember coming downstairs one morning, and Mom was gone. I thought, well, she must be sick, something, she hurt herself. And he took us there, and he just said, well, Mom's sick, and I'm like, okay. 6, 7 years old, you don't question anybody, you just take what they're saying per word. And I remember her coming home and giving me this puppet that she had made. And I thought, well, I'm not sure what kind of sick she was, but she had a good time when she was there. And it wasn't until I was probably about 12, it took me 5 years before anybody even talked about it. Nobody said, your mom was in a mental hospital, she had problems. They just told me that she was sick. So as a 6-year-old, you think she hurt her stomach, she hurt her leg, broken arm, I didn't know. And it wasn't until I was about 12, and I think Mom actually brought it up to us and said, well, this is what really happened to me. And I look back now and I'm seeing a puppet, and I'm wondering, I can see why, it was a therapy thing for her. I, at 6, didn't understand why she left. I knew that she was there for a couple months, so, they explained to us that Mom and Dad had been divorced. We understood how much of a 6-year-old went through, and that they're not going to live together. Mom's there for a couple months, and then all of a sudden, Dad's there, and Mom now moved out, and we didn't know why. And they didn't explain to the 7-year-old why. But keeping it from us probably wasn't the best answer either. We had questions, but we never felt like we could ask it. We just kept it inside, never talked about it. It was a hidden subject.
Look back on those years between the 1970s and the 80s. Who was that person? He's talking to the MC therapist regularly, but it wasn't until the early 2000s that she said she got the help she needed.
She did. She did. And I remember when the article came out, my dad, why does she got to put our last name on there? He was still very embarrassed to be associated with mental illness.
Tea sensitivity is so common. It immediately feels like somebody's poking directly on your nerve. I recommend sensitivity.
I think it's important that if anyone even suspects it, to go to a mental health professional and let them evaluate it. Because they'll ask the right questions. They put things in the words that you can I didn't know.